What's up, gang, gals, guys, everybody? This is Dominic D'Angelo of Brass Ring Media, and it is the Daily Wrestling Hotline for July 17th, 2025. And figure I would veer off the beaten path just a little bit, but tied still in wrestling, obviously, because it's a wrestling hotline, and talk about the ESPYs last night, particularly Shane Gillis hosting the ESPYs. And it made me think about um, how wrestling, blurring the lines, and appealing to a certain audience is important. And so, yeah, I thought Shane Gillis was great last night. His monologue was hilarious. Tied stuff, sports that was really funny. Was very topical with some of the subjects that he had, obviously. And I thought he was really funny. And I thought the jokes landed. But if you were in the crowd, if you were an athlete, they didn't land so well. Sometimes the crowd would react and laugh. They laughed at the Epstein joke, which was funny. And they had some other ones, but like the aspect of these award shows, you got to get some eyes on it. And, you think about what Ricky Gervais did with the Golden Globes and how he didn't pull any punches, and the thing that made me think about that aspect is like, they're not, and this ties into yesterday too, with Jelly Roll, me talking about Jelly Roll and being involved in SummerSlam and everything like that. And like, they're not, WWE knows what they have when it comes to an audience that's baked in, basically. Wrestling fans. You got wrestling fans. People that watch WWE will not stop watching WWE unless you do something really drastic, and it happens consistently over time. Well, what you're getting with WWE is captivating storylines, stuff that makes sense, and feuds that are intriguing. Also, stars. You're working at building new stars like a Jey Uso or a Braun Breaker or Penta's in the mix, just to name a few. So like, they know what they're getting. So when you implement Jelly Roll, you're casting a wider net. Now, how does this tie into Shane Gillis exactly? Well, that audience that's there, they're there to be rewarded. They're there because they're celebrities, they're stars. They are set in their position, and whether that's, any type of sport that they're playing, they're notable. So Shane Gillis wasn't playing to them. He was playing to the viewers at home. He was playing to the people that watch sports, that see sports as to how did Shedeur Sanders get his jersey number retired? Well, we all know, and Shane Gillis threw it out there in the open and made a joke of it. 12 and 13 with almost making the Alamo Bowl funny stuff. And then just stuff, Caitlin Clark blending the, the controversy that comes with Caitlin Clark, the WNBA and all that stuff, and blending that into the joke and making it funny. And so he's playing to the bigger audience sitting at home, not to the people in the crowd. And so I always like it. I like it too when a comedian makes people uncomfortable, because that's part of the gig, right? It's part of the aspect of it all. Like, it takes some cojones to get up there and say those jokes, whether you wrote them or not. Say those jokes and know that they're probably not going to land with that audience in the crowd, and you're not going to get a reaction, and people are going to view you a certain way by the jokes that you're saying and stuff like that. But ultimately, like, if you look online, he went viral, man, and he went big time. And like, I think it spoke to the people at home. You watch these award shows and they're kind of forgettable. Like, the last ESPYs was the one the guy who hosted it was the guy he paid tribute to at the end was Norm Macdonald. Like, what a memorable host he was. And Shane Gillis really did a great job. Also makes me think about blurring those lines, and how wrestling can benefit from that aspect, like walking that line. Now, makes me think of this Seth Rollins injury and how all the people have been talking about that. Is it real? What is happening with it? Was Seth previously injured, and are they throwing a red herring out there so he'll cash in sooner than later? Now, while I don't necessarily subscribe to that's exactly happening. I think Seth Rollins is injured, and I think he's out for a while. I think plain and simple. I don't think they were building towards something and pulling the wool over our eyes and making us think a certain way. I don't think it just didn't in that moment at Saturday's main event. It did not seem like something you'd want to do on a big broadcast channel, finish a match like that. So I legitimately think he got hurt and that he's not part of it. But that's the talk behind the scenes is like, hey, what's going on? Is he really hurt? How hurt is he? Seth got on Rich Eisen and said, like, I'm going to be out for an extended period of time. So people are like, oh, is it a work? What's going on here? So I think when you have a comedian like Shane Gillis come up there and say what he said from, blurring those lines of sports talk plus societal and political discourse, is a great way to get eyes and to get some buzz about it. And that's why we like people like CM Punk, who says stuff that shakes up the norm. Shane Gillis even acknowledged, like, hey, Disney hired me to do this. Like, I can't believe it, basically. And it's Disney. So you think about the corporate suits that get unsettled or get unnerved by this kind of comedy, when you make it like an Epstein joke like that. Oh my God. You talk about the presidency and all that stuff. Oh my God. It's just like, it's just pushing back at the establishment. And, that's why we like somebody like a CM Punk. That's why we like, the NWO invading, taking over. It's the pushback against the conventional. And so that's what I really liked about the ESPYs last night. And I thought Shane Gillis did an awesome job. I was cracking up. I was actively, I didn't watch it in time. I watched it online. I watched it on X. I listened to the whole monologue this morning. Then he had the tush push thing, which was also great. The little skit that they did. So, yeah, I thought it was great stuff. If ESPN's smart, they'll continue to do stuff like that. And they really have to rebrand themselves in a lot of ways because they've taken away so much from what ESPN was fun about it. Like, you want to talk about if it wasn't for ESPN back in the day, I wouldn't be doing probably what I'm doing or have any interest in what I was doing because I was hooked on Around the Horn. I was hooked on like PTI. And then catching Sports Center early in the morning as a kid after falling asleep from Monday Night Football and seeing the highlights and before I'm going to school or, anything like that. Just ESPN lost its way big time. And it's a shame because like it was all about debating now back and forth. And like, while you had that with Around the Horn, it was more in a segmented kind of aspect where somebody would give their opinion, then somebody else would give their opinion. But you'd still get insight because they're sports writers and they're based out of certain areas of the country. I thought it was great. So it's not like you didn't have Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless going back and forth arguing about who's better, Kobe or LeBron. Like, and then that was just branched out and they decided to expand on that and get it bigger and make it all. That's what it's all about. Debating who's better, who's this. You got to get rid of that. You need something different. And you need variety, but you also need to create some talk about stuff and about different things. And just straight up, sometimes straightforward is the best kind of forward. Like Frankie Kazarian yesterday, big baseball fan, said how happy he was that the MLB All-Star game just players were wearing their team uniforms instead of the all-star uniforms. Finally, it was back. And, sometimes just being straightforward, giving you sports straight up is the best route to take. It doesn't have to be complicated. Wrestling is simple. Simple storytelling. You don't gotta murk it up here or anything like that. And so, I think ESPN. I hope they don't regret their decision of Shane Gillis in there, because he did the exact opposite of what ESPN has been doing. So good stuff on that part. But figured I'd tie that into wrestling, and thought it was a fascinating conversation to have. And Shane Gillis is a wrestling fan, so pretty neat in that regard as well. So if you like what you're hearing, be sure to like, share, subscribe. If you're interested, sign up for the Patreon. Patreon.com, Brassring Media. Support Zach Hadorn, support Tyler Sage, Robert, and Ashley Mann too as well. A great team there. And if you want more, give me feedback. Follow me on X at Dominic D'Angelo. Give me some feedback and what you like to hear, what you don't like to hear. But this is always a fun time. And keep comedy alive. It was fun. It was a nice change of pace, So I'm all for good stand-up, and I'm all for speaking truth to power in a lot of ways. So fun stuff. Thanks for tuning into this hotline. And always remember to call 1-900-909-9900.